Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
My dear friend Randy Givens in Austin, Texas, has been on this program many, many times, and he just sent me a cartoon that I want you to try this on your own, and you'll see exactly what he means. It was a cartoon where the commentator is doing a newscast, and in the background is the state of Idaho laying on its eastern side, okay? And the commentator says, in other news, lawmakers today banned the entire state of Idaho, claiming that if you laid it on its east side, it resembled a gun. You know what it does. When you shade it out, it looks just like a gun with a hammer cocked. Oh, don't tell me the liberals are going to get a hold of that and tell us we can't live here anymore. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. Followed by a patriot. To get out of bed and give me a call with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. There she goes. The lovely Kate Smith and a great voice. And God bless America. Good morning, good morning. Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. Big fall tire sale going on right now. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call 734-6969. And now, without further ado, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Well, go for it, my friend.
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wheels, you're doing a good job. Thank you, my friend. And right now, let's go to the weather forecast, brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. All you have to do is just look for that blue door. Oh, my goodness, they've got so much for you. Again, I want to reiterate, Kyle and Whitney Cheney were married in October, so for the celebration, they're going to have a huge, this means really big, fall sale all the way through the month of October. Get in there and enjoy. Everything is discounted. Cheney Flooring and Home Design at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. And right now, here is the weather forecast.
Here's your weather forecast as we kick off the final work week in September, and looks like Mother Nature is going to be shining on us through the rest of the week as we have this high-pressure system that will be sticking around, and sunny skies for today is what we're expecting. High of 74 with an overnight low of 44. Tomorrow, even better, sunny and 77. Sunny, close to 80 for Wednesday, overnight low of 52 as we move our way into Thursday. Partly cloudy skies, high of about 75, overnight low of 51. Friday, looks like partly cloudy and 71, so not too shabby for the final week in September. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, good job, Gina. Thank you. Going to be a beautiful day today. All your carpet and flooring, kitchen construction, home decor items, whatever you need to make your house a home at Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for that blue door. There you go. Oh, my goodness, we got a lot of things to talk about here this morning. My good friend Jerry Voss, I got to get this in real quick. I haven't got a lot of time this morning, but I want to hit this. The Joe Engel Composite Squadron, local unit of the Civil Air Patrol, is hosting an open house at 6:30 p.m. this Thursday, the 29th, at the Squadron building located at the Burley J.R. Jack Simplot Airport. Members of the squadron will be present to greet visitors and explain CAP's Missions for America. Don't forget that's coming up on this Thursday. By the way, too, I'm going to stop in today at my dear friends at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. They literally can clean anything. Now, I know a lot of you last minute getting ready to go hunting, and you have not unrolled that sleeping bag since last year. You're going to crawl in that puppy? I don't think so. You better have it cleaned at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley, along with all your winter coats, everything. It's going to get chilly, folks. And they can take care of it at Daryl's Cleaners in Burley. Okay? Also, our thanks go out to SafeLink Internet. What a great group of people they are, and they're really expanding their business. They've got over 10,000 people on their program right now, and they've really expanded their technical support. Nice, very polite people, and they're serving you at SafeLink Internet. 677-8000. You get a hold of them today. Tell them Zeb sent you. SafeLink Internet. You better believe it. All right, now it's your turn. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. All the news this morning, and quite frankly, headlining the newscast for the last many days about the big debate tonight at Hofstra University, Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton. You know, I'm a little bit concerned about the gaming. Yeah, the gaming of this thing and how it's going to be set up and try to be a trip-up for Donald Trump. Now, already we're seeing some pre-gaming going on. And when I say that, the gamers on the Democratic side are setting up the scenario. Excuse me for coughing, doggone hay fever. I was up in the hills yesterday, and boy, that old sagebrush, it really smells good, but it went to me. Anyway, the gamers are setting it up so that Trump might be called a sexist and playing the gender card to try to be one-upsmanship over Hillary. They're setting this up already. They really are, and they're planting the seeds in the garden. Now, Trump, in my opinion, and I think I've got a right to my opinion on the air because it's my show. And besides that, it's an opinion talk show. And I'd like to hear yours. Trump has got to be very careful tonight. He's got to be extremely firm, but yet he has to be cordial. Trump has got to make sure that he doesn't allow himself to become red-faced, mad, and arbitrary, to say stupid things like crooked Hillary, even though she is, and other comments like that. So he's got to be extremely careful. As far as the sexist and the poor woman routine, absolutely not. And I have listened to a lot of women comment on this over the weekend on the television, and I agree with the ones that have common sense. She's a candidate for the presidency of the United States of America, and quite simply put, if she can't stand the heat, don't bother going to the kitchen to bake bread. And I hope he does become very, very poignant with her on issues like our economy, Benghazi, our security, ISIS, guns, and I hope he looks her right in the eye and is very direct. Caller, stand by. I'll be right with you. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. And, oh, it's going to get chillier. And you know that you better have your furnace ready to go. That's right. And they've got all your furnace filters. And if there's problems with your furnace, call them right now, 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric, where they provide warm winters and cold, cool summers. And they're located at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, I've been thinking about this since last night, but Hillary will either break the bank on this or she will be done forever. You know what the problem is here? Is they're going to have Mark Cuban sitting in the front row. Now, if you know of that guy, he is going to interrupt. I'll guarantee you he'll interrupt them right in the middle of it. And the only way they're going to be able to shut this guy up is to throw him out.
No, I disagree with you. Keith, you're a dear friend, but I totally disagree with you on this. And if I'm wrong, I'll be the first to apologize to you tomorrow morning. I think that if Mark Cuban opens his fat mouth at any time during the debate, that is going to be a reflection on Hillary and the Democrats, as it should be, but it's also going to show the negativity about that party and their personality. And I think that the Democrats would be very foolish to even allow him to open his mouth to yawn.
Well, I don't want to dispute what you're saying, but I think this guy cannot control himself. I think he's a lot worse than Trump on being able to control himself, because he's always been able to bully his way into anything with his big mouth.
Well, I agree with that. You're 100% right in what you're saying, but I don't honestly think that it will become an audience free-for-all. In other words, having somebody yelling from the audience or making catcalls or obnoxious statements. If they do that, then I revert back to what you said a moment ago. They should have security there to drag his 6'4" body out of there as fast as they can.
Well, and I don't think he cares. He doesn't care what people think of him. He doesn't care about the things that are important. It's his way or the highway. And I've talked to people who have met the man before, and he can be the nicest guy you ever seen, or he can be really ignorant.
Yeah.
And I think he's his own man, and if he hurts the Democratic Party, so be it. You know, I just look for him to cause a disturbance, is what I'm going to say.
Well, you know, and there again, it's all speculation on both of our parts. I don't think so. You do, but I'll tell you, the proof's going to be in the pudding tonight. At our time, I believe 6 o'clock, so we'll find out. Keith, you're always welcome, and we'll see who's right tomorrow morning. Thank you for your call.
Okay.
All right, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. He might be right. He might be right, Cuban. I don't like Mark Cuban. Never did. And I think he's done more harm than good with his millions. And we'll see what happens tonight. I just personally don't think he'd be dumb enough, maybe he would be, to disrupt the proceedings. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. It's great. At 611 Overland and Burley and 291 Pole Line in Twin Falls. Oh, the great breakfasts, the great lunches, and the dinners, and the desserts. Everything fantastic at America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant. And we're going to be over there on this Thursday for Lunch Bunch. Yes, at 11:30. Don't forget, put it on your calendar right now. Our thanks go out to Smith's Food, Hanson Mortuary, Walmart, and Stokes Groceries. But our big thanks goes to the great service and the food at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland and Burley, America's Diner. Real quick, your calls, come on in. What do you think about the debate? One of the things that I think needs to be discussed, and I know it's going to sound a little bit that's a bad subject to talk about on the radio, but it's true. 90 minutes. 90 minutes of open microphones. No shutting the mics. No bathroom breaks. I will say right there, that is going to be a defining of this first debate. No bathroom breaks and 90 minutes straight through. And we may see a real tension and problem causing Hillary to maybe have to exit the stage. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, sir.
How are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing great.
All righty.
finally starting to dry out a little bit.
Oh, Dougie, we could have, this is no exaggeration. In a couple of my horse corrals, the ones like 24 by 24, you honestly could have put a boat in there and it would have floated and never touched the bottom of the dirt.
Very true.
Oh, my goodness.
I had a pond out in front of my shop. I was going to throw some duck decoys out there and set up to see if I could hunt some duck, but I was in the city limits. So I figured they'd get upset.
I tell you, Duck Dynasty's alive and well over at Doug's. All right. Hey, man, what do you got cooking?
Well, I'm liking the spin that the Democrats are trying to put on this thing that the moderator needs to fact-check Trump.
Oh.
Don't say that you need to fact-check Hillary.
Yeah.
I like the spin that they're saying that Trump's 75-80% of the things that come out of his mouth is a lie and not factual. And I'm thinking isn't that the pot calling the kettle black?
It is. It is, Doug, but you know as well as I do, in today's politics and in today's age, the left, they will call you bigots and hate mongers, and they'll cry to the public like, these people are unfair and they hate us and they don't want to welcome diversity. They want to have us driven out of Dodge City. And you know what? With that kind of an attitude, yes, I do want to see them driven out of Dodge City and never come back. But, we're the hate mongers.
We are. And my dealings in the last 30 days, but discussions that I've had with a few on Facebook that are leaning way left. I went to school with them, and I've known them a long time, and they don't fact check themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
One, he's a lawyer up in Seattle, is all I'll say about him, and he was so down on this Hillary's America. When I challenged him, I said, you want to see racists? You go watch Hillary's America, and you'll see who the real racists are.
Absolutely.
And he said, well, I've watched the trailer, and he sent me a link. He said, you need to read this review. It'll tell you all about it.
Yeah.
And I come back to him and I said, you're making a decision for this country's future, for your kids, for your grandkids to live in on sound bites and other person's opinion.
Yeah.
You won't take time and make up your own mind by going and reading all the facts and seeing.
That's the problem with the liberal left. They've got this elitist attitude. Their nose is so high up in the air that if it rains, my worry is that they'll drown. You know that, Doug. And let's go back to the debate real quick, and then I got to do a commercial break. Let's talk about the 90 minutes. 90 minutes of standing there at a podium. That's hard on anybody. I used to announce my rodeos always standing up for about 2 hours and a half, and my legs are not the best. And finally it got to the point where I just couldn't do it anymore. And now we're talking about two people that are, let's call them both in their almost 70s, and standing up there, and your legs start to cramp up, your body, your torso starts to cramp up because you're at that podium. You can't move around. And the other problem is just part of human nature. You don't have any bathroom breaks, and it's going to be a hard row to hoe for 90 minutes.
It is. It'd be tough on about anybody, but it's also going to show us if Hillary does have some stamina or if she's got problems.
Well, I appreciate your remarks as always. Keep calling, buddy. Appreciate it. I got to get a break in here. Thank you. All right, buddy. Thanks. Barry Equipment and Rental, 3 locations, South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Oh, are you aware of the repair shop at the Burley location? Holy cow, it's been remodeled and ready to serve you, Rod and Juan and the whole crew. They can fix anything. I'm telling you, these guys are good. Small engines all the way to heavy equipment. And, of course, all the equipment rentals and the retail equipment sales. What are you waiting for? They have all the equipment to get the job done right. Barry Equipment and Rental, Jerome, Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Oh, by the way, I know where I'm going to be at 2 o'clock this afternoon. I'm going to be in the water at the hydrotherapy pool at the Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation location at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. They really put you through the rigors, man. I'm telling you what, when I get out of that pool, I feel like I've swam about maybe a 400-yard freestyle. Holy cow, but oh, does it help. They are so good at helping you get back to being you. All the exercises and the sports medicine and a staff that really is highly trained, physical therapists ready to help you at 678-1191. Call that number, make an appointment, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, helping you get back to being you. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. 90 minutes, a doggone long time to stay sharp. Now you say, oh, come on. No, it is. It's a long time. Considering there are no commercial breaks, to leave the podium and just go out, take a deep breath of fresh air, go do whatever, and then come back to the podium, it helps your mind. It helps your body. It rejuvenates you. But to stand in one place for 90 minutes, rigor mortis is bound to set in, and the uncomfort of it. And for both candidates, even though I absolutely detest Hillary, you know, you got to have some compassion for them. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know what? This Colin Kaepernick disease of not standing for our national anthem. Now, you're not going to believe this. I couldn't believe it when I heard it. Now it's even gone into our military. Some Navy people have been sitting at the Naval Academy when our national anthem is being played. You know, I don't care if you are black, white, brown, whatever. If you as a person have been accepted to the Naval Academy, the Air Force Academy, any branch of the military with their academies, whatever, West Point, you must have worked hard, and you must have quite a bit of ability for them to make that offer for you to attend that academy. And then, after all that, in this, the greatest country in the world, and I don't care what the liberals say, to demean and denigrate our flag and what it stands for by not standing for our national anthem, I think throw them out. Plain and simple. I mean, I don't go along with all this foo-for-raw. You know, well, let's A, try this, let's B, try this. If that doesn't work, we'll revert to C. Throw them out. If they don't have any respect for this great United States of America. There's no, okay, well, we know you didn't mean what you did, so we'll give you another chance. Baloney. Cleaned it up pretty good, I thought. Throw them out. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, I'm going to be right there. Now, here's what I got to do, caller. I'll take your call in between this ad and our cookie giveaway, so stay tuned. I'll be right with you. Don't forget Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and the number to call for an appointment, 312-0957. They are located right across the street from the Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room, and oh, this lovely Dr. Christine Pickup knows all about sound, all about hearing. I mean, this lady is so sharp. Every time I visit with her, I learn something new. And if you're noticing a lack of hearing, don't let it get any worse. Let her help you, and she can. At Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. Caller, you're on the air. Real quick, go ahead.
I would be interested to know who decided on the 90 minutes. Had they always been 90 minutes, the debate?
Not to my knowledge, but, evidently the ground rules were agreed to by both candidates and their parties. And I am a little bit more than shocked in regards to a 90-minute no break. Now, what I would have thought, Chris, 45 minutes and a break for, a commercial break. You can maybe have a couple of breaks put in there that might last 5 minutes, 6 minutes, whatever it might be. That would have been, I think, appropriate. 45-minute sessions each. But 90 minutes is pretty long way to go.
Yeah, I mean, even youngsters try to put a seventh grader into something for 90 minutes and see if they can do it. And they're young and usually in good health. I wonder who decided this, because the networks don't mind giving them 90 minutes, but I think that they've got to, we might have somebody collapse up there, and that would be over.
Well, you could.
And we know who might collapse first.
And for those that have never been on television before, and I've been the host of 3 television shows, that the lights, the extreme heat from the lights, unless they've got a good air circulation going on in there, I mean, the lights can absolutely frost and bake your cookies, let me tell you. And for these 2 people that are not spring chickens anymore, I mean, they're like me, they're getting a little long in the tooth and long in the earlobes, it could be very telling as to who really is going to maintain and show that they can handle it.
Well, that, as far as I'm concerned, is what we as the electorate need to watch.
Yep.
Because if she can't or he can't make the 90-minute grade, then I think that helps to cinch the vote.
Well, it's going to be, and quite frankly, I love football. I am a football nut, but when it comes to watching the NFL game tonight, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to be absolutely tuned in to watch the body language and listen and take notes on everything, because I honestly think this first debate will be very, very decisive.
Do you know what I'd like? Is a close-up of their eyes when they're talking about something that we suspect.
Oh, that's a good.
That your eyes tell the story.
They are the windows to the soul. Thank you so much. I got to give away some cookies.
Okay, I'm letting you go.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Call them at 678-0459 and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox can save you money. All right, we're going to give away some cookies at Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. Oh, delicious bakery, delicious restaurant. And if you are a first-time caller, you are eligible. And I thought we'd gear the question today with the first ever debate. Yeah, the first ever debate. And here's my question this morning. According to historical records, the very first presidential debate was between whom? What 2 candidates were in the very first presidential debate? First person to call and give me the answer according to historical records. Give me a call and let me know who you think the first 2 candidates were in a presidential debate. And it was a long, grueling affair, let me tell you. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587, and then we'll give you a dozen cookies from our dear friend at Sophie's Chatterbox. Come on, quickly, give me a call. Name the 2 combatants, if you will, in the first presidential debate according to historical records. All right? According to what I have here. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, give me a call, and you might win the cookies. So give us a jingle quickly, and we'd like to hear from you. While I am waiting for your call that I'm sure is coming in, come on, quickly, look it up on the computer and sheet if you want to. Go ahead, I don't care. Our thanks go out to Zach and the crew at Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport. And they sponsor Dr. History every Tuesday at 10:06. And caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't forget they've got all the lumber packages. Old man Zach knows lumber. He knows about wood, let me tell you. And all the shingles and the western windows and, of course, the Tartar Farm and Ranch gates and panels. They got it all for you, and they can help you, too. Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, bringing you Dr. History on Tuesdays. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Talk to me, caller. Wheels, I can't hear the caller. Is he there?
Give me one moment.
Hurry. All right. Evidently a little bit of equipment malfunction there. And do we have the caller on the air? Is he there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
It's a sir. Please, believe me, I know. Go ahead, caller.
Was it Nixon and Kennedy?
No. Thank you for your call. I appreciate it. A good guess, but that was not the first. I'm not talking about televised debates. I never said the word televised. I'm talking about according to historical records. The very first presidential debate was between whom? Let's see if this caller knows. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
It was Lincoln and Douglas.
Who is this?
Charlene.
Charlene, what's your last name?
Eklund.
How did you know that?
I remember it from history, but I confirmed it on the internet.
Well, there you go. And I don't know what kind of cookies you like, but you just won a dozen cookies over at Sophie's. Yes, it was Abraham Lincoln, Stephen Douglas. Okay, you know everything. What year was it? Go ahead, show me that.
I don't know. Yeah, when you asked me the question like that, then I don't remember. But it was, yeah.
It was 1858.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Charlene, the least you could do is share your cookies. But have a good day. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Call them at Sophie's and let them know when you're coming in for the cookies. All right.
Okay, will do.
Okay. Thank you. Yep. Lincoln Douglas debates 18, and they were long. Oh my goodness. The way I understand what happened is that like one candidate had like an hour to talk, and then the next candidate had a half-hour rebuttal, and then the next candidate had an hour to talk, and then the next candidate had a half-hour rebuttal. I mean, you're there like for a whole day. It must have been really interesting. Anyway, congratulations to Charlene Eklund. She is the winner. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, I'll be right there. Please do not go away. Do not go past go. Do not collect $200. Do not get a get-out-of-jail-free card. I'll be right there. Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street in Hebron. Oh, they are good. They've been voted Minnecastia's best veterinary hospital for multiple years. Dr. Bill Fulcher, Dr. Liz Schrepfer, the whole crew, they just have warm hearts for cold noses. Big or small, they love them all. Ark Animal Hospital, congratulations. All right, caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, you're talking about the debate.
Yeah.
You know, catheters in a catch bag work pretty good, too.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. Or we could take it a step further and say there might be an increased rush at the grocery store for Depends, right?
Exactly. It just depends.
No, lady, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your call. Have a good day. Thank you. I love it. That's part of life, folks. Grow up if you can't smile, for heaven's sakes. You know, stupidity at our colleges and universities is reigning supreme. I mean, these are supposed to be institutions of higher learning. And when I heard some of these news stories last week on Friday, I about fell out of my lazy boy. I'm not kidding you. Listen to this. Listen to this. Now at Gonzaga University, it is considered not politically correct to go up to someone of Asian descent and ask them to help you with a math problem. I can't make this up, folks. What they're saying is that people from Asian descent, Japanese, etc., are so well versed in math that we are pigeonholing them. And we are stereotyping them if we go up to them and ask to help with a math problem. Now at Gonzaga University, it's considered not politically correct. Here's another one. At the University of Georgia, illegal aliens. Now, please remember those words. Illegal, not supposed to be here because they broke the law. Aliens, they're not members of our society. They are not citizens. Illegal aliens have filed suit against the University of Georgia because the University of Georgia won't let them in. What? They're illegal aliens. But here is the best one. And it's almost embarrassing to say this about a neighboring state. And that, of course, is the University of Wyoming. At the University of Wyoming, the school is providing students coloring books. Coloring books to help them sit down and color and eliminate stress. These are supposed to be young adults. These are supposed to be students that want to just go out and meet the world head on and say, I'm going to succeed. And they can't take the stress of a college education. And so the school is providing them coloring books. Now, if you were a parent of a student that is going to college right now, and I don't care if you're shelling out anything from $12,500 to $50,000 a year, do you really want to hear when your kids come home on break that they are coloring? Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Unbelievable. Pay that kind of money for an education. Well, what did you do this semester, John? Well, we colored. Oh. Okay, don't forget on Fridays we have the Denny's Football Trivia brought to you by our dear friends at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner at 611 Overland in Burley. And if you're the right person to answer the question, you will receive a free Grand Slam Original Breakfast at Denny's in Burley. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, caller, quickly, and then I've got to do the weather.
Okay, what I find politically incorrect for about 100 years now is to speak another language in ear's reach other than English in the United States.
I agree.
Damn it, Seth, you agreed with me.
Well, why shouldn't I agree with you, sir? And why did you think otherwise? I mean, you're here in America. English is our accepted... Don't talk over me. Wait a minute. We can't talk at the same time, sir. You can't do that. Why would you think I would be against that in an English-speaking nation?
Because I've called in before, and we're on the same view, and I totally agree with you, but sometimes we butt heads. But that's what I find politically correct all my life. I have German descendants, and my grandfather would not allow his children to even listen to German, and everybody spoke English because you are in America, and you wouldn't be dealt with if you didn't speak English.
I can't argue that. You and I are going to put on the same uniform, and we're going to charge out of the locker room, and we're going to win the game together. I agree with you, but the point is, I don't mind. My grandmother on my dad's side and my grandfather, they both were from the old country in Germany, and sprechen Sie Deutsch, they spoke German around the house, but always out in public, always with the schools, always at work and everything, they always spoke English because this was their now new land where they had the opportunity to become great Americans. I can't argue your point whatsoever.
It's called assimilation.
That's right.
And if you don't assimilate, immigration without assimilation is called invasion.
If you're looking for an argument from me this morning, boy, did your forces ever draw up to a dry hole in the gully, because I agree with you 100%. I couldn't agree with you more, and I'm going to be more so that way on the radio.
God bless you, Zeb.
All right, take care. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not going to argue that point. Man, I think if you're here, and I'll use his word, assimilation, because it's the right word, you assimilate into our culture. What really irks me is the amount of money that we are spending on refugees coming in here and doing, well, we got to provide this service for them. Well, we got to provide that service for them. Well, we got to give them this. We got to rob Social Security, and we got to make sure that they have health care. And don't get me started on health care this morning after what happened to us personally, my wife and I. I am going to become much more vocal about stopping refugees, about giving all the amenities at my expense. So we're going to talk about that more in the future. Believe me. And as far as that language is concerned, English. Time for the weather, and the weather's brought to you by the Urgent Cares. Now, I want to remind you that on October 5th, they're going to be having a flu shot special. I got to get my flu shot. Did you get yours? Well, that's a good day to go because it's only $15 at all of the Urgent Cares. That's right. Riverview Urgent Care in Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care, Addison Avenue East in Twin Falls, and Jerome Urgent Care in Jerome. Oh, my goodness, these are good people. Minor emergencies, major care. Put that on the calendar, October 5th. Flu shot special day, just $15 at all of their clinics. Here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast as we kick off the final work week in September, and looks like Mother Nature is going to be shining on us through the rest of the week as we have this high-pressure system that will be sticking around, and sunny skies for today is what we're expecting. High of 74 with an overnight low of 44. Tomorrow, even better, sunny and 77. Sunny, close to 80 for Wednesday, overnight low of 52 as we move our way into Thursday. Partly cloudy skies, high of about 75, overnight low of 51. Friday looks like partly cloudy and 71, so not too shabby for the final week in September. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thanks, Gina. As always, a great job on the program, and brought to you by the Riverview Urgent Care, 382 North Overland in Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care, 2392 Addison Avenue in Twin Falls, and Jerome Urgent Care, 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. Minor emergencies, major care. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Why, really, when you think about it, and don't let the liberal left call you bigoted and not caring and hateful and all this kind of stuff. These people are just grasping at straws because, quite frankly, they think that they can get the edge on public sympathy. Public sympathy. But, we got to stand up. We've got to stand up. On a personal experience of my own, to which I won't go into all the details, and others that I know, their health care costs are absolutely going like a hot air balloon, up, up, and away. And at the same time, at the same time, we're trying to reach deeper into our Wranglers and find a few extra coins to pay these absolutely exorbitant increases, which I think are almost criminal. No, they are criminal. We are giving free health care to the refugees and illegals. I don't know how much more it's going to take for America and its citizens to say, wait a minute. We help. We do all we can to help, but we can't go broke trying to help others, because then everybody is destitute and nobody can help anybody. And I don't want anybody to say, like some of the nincompoops, a couple that come to mind in Twin Falls in the city council, that, we have so much and we can do this and we can... Wait a minute, you better start looking at your own billfold. Because little by little, inch by inch, foot by foot, yard by yard, more dollars are going out to help support people that have never put anything into the system, and they're taking away from the system that is a safety valve for us. What are your thoughts? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. With all this happening in the last couple of days, and of course you remember the comments on this program many, many times of Dr. Elena George from Atlanta, Georgia. And years ago, when I first started having her on the air, she was extremely outspoken about what would happen with Obamacare, the ill effects, and how it would hurt people. Well, it's coming to fruition. So with all this, I guess that came to nest in my own family, I am going to do all I can to just absolutely blow holes in the boat of the liberals that are supporting Obamacare and what's happening with health care in this country. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Once again, don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems, whether it's a gas furnace, an air conditioner, heat pump, whatever. You will save money. That's right. Call them at 678-0459 and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox can serve you. Oh, great golfer Arnold Palmer passed away. You know, when you think of the gentlemen in the sport of golf, gentlemen that were known outside of golf for their humanitarian efforts and what they did to help their fellow man, whether it was children's hospitals or whether it was some kind of a charity with the Heart Foundation or diabetes or cancer, Arnold Palmer always stays at the top of the list as a man that had a very congenial personality, a man that was well known all over the world, not only for his golf, but for his amazing personality. And I was saddened, I really was, when I heard of his passing at 87 years of age. Yes, he was up there. But he was a man that was so well respected, even outside the circles of golf. And what a great remembrance for anybody to have people around the globe say such great tributes to a man that they really thought a lot of and they cared for, even if they didn't know him. Arnold Palmer, passing away at 87 as a champion and a gentleman. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. While we have just a moment, I'm waiting for your call. I want to also remind you about our big tire sale going on at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, man, can they save you money? And will you get some outstanding tires for your car, pickup, SUV, whatever. Like the Open Country MT for your pickups and SUVs. Outstanding traction, very aggressive tread design. This is a ripping good tire, let me tell you. And it's on sale right now at all 7 locations. And of course, you know about their best tire value promise and the peace of mind tire protection. If a tire is damaged beyond repair, they'll replace it at its value. Lifetime tire and mileage care, free flat tire repairs, that's hard to say. And, of course, the best in brake service, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. The best. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. My lovely bride is now entering the studio and bringing with her a piece of piping hot, right out of the oven, delicious zucchini bread. No, George Mass, I do not want you to drive 40 miles and try to beg at the door. Leave my zucchini bread alone. And I cannot wait, and I mean this, for the break to come up for the CBS News in the next couple of minutes, because, boy, if I've got a passion, it's for zucchini bread. You know, it's got the nuts in it, and it's got, oh, my goodness, it's got little cranberries. What else has it got in here, Deanne? Help me. Coconut, pineapple, and some nuts and everything. And I look forward to this. So during my break, I'm going to be indulging. Let's see what else we got coming up next hour. We're going to talk to the Senior Junction. They've got the Great Big Pumpkin Function coming up on October 27th. Catherine's going to be on the air. And then at 9:30 this morning, we've got Samuel Green. He's going to be on our program with the Alliance Defending Freedom. So don't you go away. We got a whole bunch of things to cover. So stay tuned. Zeb at the Ranch, I'll be right back. I could sit and listen to that music all day. It just gets me up and going. Good morning on a Monday. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Western Waste Services, man, oh man, I enjoy those folks on here because they are the best at what they do. Locally owned and operated Western Waste Services, of course, with the porta potties and, of course, the route service to get your garbage, the Go Mini storage units, I mean, the dumpsters, all of this. All you have to do is just call and tell them what helps you at 734-6969. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Real quick, too, I want to remind you that we are so blessed on this program to have the cream of the crop. And I really want to say thank you to Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Joel Heward, the manager, his family, and, of course, his staff, always serving you and your family. When there's the passing of a loved one, they are there. They are there available to help you with all the arrangements, always with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. Please write this number down and call 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Right now we're going to go to the phone line. And we have with us on the phone a very scary lady. It's Catherine Walcroft with the Senior Junction going to tell us about the pumpkin function. Good morning, Catherine. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm doing well. We are having a great big function here at the Senior Center. It's the Senior Junction Pumpkin Function on October 27th. From 7 till 4, we will be open. We'll be serving a ghoulish breakfast. So we want everyone to come down. You can purchase your tickets ahead of time. We are selling those ahead of time. And we are going to be having some great menu items like monster meat, or monster toast, and what did you call it? Crinkly, wrinkly...
crinkly, wrinkly. I forgot what I did call it.
That's what you called it, some bacon.
Yeah.
And we've got some biscuits and out of the gravy. So it should be a lot of fun. We want you guys to come down. And we will be having a costume contest that day. We will be having a pumpkin carving contest and a pumpkin painting contest. But also we will be having Zeb at the Ranch live. We're excited about that.
Well, that's better than having Zeb at the Ranch dead, let me tell you that, sweetheart. But anyhow, I want to also kind of break this down a little bit. We're going to have a lot of candy available for pre-sale of this event. And the candy is going to be monster scabs, jack-o'-lantern teeth, witches' warts, and most of all, ghost poop. I mean, this is going to be great. It's only 50 cents a bag, and it's available for sale, right?
That is, yes. And 100% of the proceeds go to the benefit the Meals on Wheels.
Okay, now, Catherine, let's talk a little bit about the event and the name change, first of all. It's at the Senior Junction at 2421 Overland and Burley. And I got to hand it to you and Dennis and the board. You've got innovative thinking that says, hey, wait a minute. We have got to let the public know that we're not dead yet. And we've got a lot of years left. We got a lot of things we want to accomplish. And there's so much going on at the Senior Junction. Okay, now you fill in the blanks and tell us more.
Well, we've got a ton of stuff. We serve lunch every day from Monday through Friday at noon to 1. All of that benefits the Meals on Wheels program. We have bingo on Thursday nights. We have pinochle on Tuesday nights and also Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 1 o'clock. We have just a ton of exciting stuff happening here. We are wanting to refresh our image and really hit some of the different demographic, younger seniors like myself who, I just turned 50 this year. And so we're wanting to get everyone to come out. It's a community recreation center. We want people to come and enjoy the company and some of the stories that the older seniors have, and it's just a great amount of fun to come here.
Okay, now let's go into the pumpkin function. For years at the Senior Center, we used to have an event called the Pumpkin Caper, and we have changed the name, changed the attitude, changed the venue, changed everything about it. Now it's the Pumpkin Function, but it's going to be frightfully wonderful on October 27th. Now, we're going to be over there broadcasting live and direct for the whole entirety of my program on that day, but at 7 o'clock the doors open up. And what can people expect when the doors do open up?
Well, we are going to scare up some good breakfast. We are going to have lots of fun music and costumes. We want people to come in their best costume, and we've got great prizes. We've got a trip to Jackpot for a prize. We've got a new bike for a prize. We've got lots of different things going on, and so I think that it is going to be a boo-rific day.
Hey, somebody told me that you have absolutely wonderful, beautiful T-shirts that are on sale.
We do. We actually have, there are two. There's a gray one or a black one, and they say the Senior Junction Pumpkin Function 2016. They are one of a kind. You can't get them anywhere else. But they are on sale for $15. Now, all of the net proceeds from those T-shirts go to benefit the Meals on Wheels, and we're excited. There are only 100, so we want you to call 878-8646 and get your T-shirt now.
Now, Catherine, I want to stress the fact that these T-shirts, like you said, there's only 100 that have been made up. They're kind of a collector's item, if you will, and they're in black and gray. And quite frankly, what did they do to get them? Did they call and then come over to the senior center, or where did they go?
They call and come over to the senior center. I'm sure they can call you at your program, and you can get them in touch with us. We also will be out selling those around businesses. We'll be going, and if anyone needs a shirt, wants a shirt, they can call us here at the center at 878-8646.
All right, now, I want to talk a little bit about this candy. Now, you are a demented soul, Catherine, I got to tell you. But this candy idea is phenomenal, and I've got the bags right here in front of me of the monster scabs and the witch's warts and everything. This is a great idea. Where can they buy this candy?
At the Senior Junction. Again, give us a call or come down to the center at 2421 Overland, and we will be glad to get you enough candy for your trick-or-treaters. You'll especially want to give them out to your neighbors, children, the special people in your life, your nieces, nephews, your grandchildren, and it's going to be a great thing. And if they call, we can get them a box of 50, or if they only want 30, or whatever they want, we can go ahead and accommodate that.
You know, folks, listen to me out there in Radio Land. This is such a neat idea because you can get the candy already bagged up, and it's got the labels on it that say like witch's warts or jack-o'-lantern teeth or monster scabs or ghost poop, whatever it might be. This is a really novel idea, and you can hand out those bags, and it's so much more effective than kids reaching down and grabbing this, grabbing that. It's really a handy, thoughtful idea for Halloween.
Well, we're excited about it because we want people to remember the Senior Junction. We want your trick-or-treaters to remember your house as being the coolest house on the block, because you're going to have witches' warts and monster scabs.
There you go. Now, what about the costume contest? Now, I really want to play this up that I want business leaders, I want bankers, lawyers, especially lawyers, because they need to make a fool out of themselves. I want everybody to dress up in a costume.
Yes, we want realtors, we want title companies, we want bankers. We want everyone in the community to come down in your best costume. We will be taking photographs so we can judge those, and we will announce the winners on Monday, on Halloween, on your program.
You know, you have done so much. The spirit, the enthusiasm in your voice is absolutely outstanding. I hope it's contagious for everybody in this event.
I do too. Halloween is such a fun time of year, and we can make it be such a great time. And like I said, we've got all sorts of stuff going on here for the Senior Junction pumpkin function, and we've got T-shirts and candy and costume parties and all sorts of stuff. So get ready and come on down.
Hey, by the way, real quick, what about the interior design of the Witch's Den right there? Boy, are you going to have it really dressed up nice?
We are. Hopefully it's not going to be too scary, but we have the Witch's Den down here at the Senior Center, and we will have that as decorated as you can imagine, and people can come on down and take a look, and we'd love to see kids come down in their costumes and parents, and we'll have 100 trick-or-treat bags free for the first 100 children.
All right, now we've got a caller with a question for you, Catherine. Don't go away. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Good morning, Zeb. I attended many of these pumpkin-type things at the Senior Center that you put on. I think when you do your costume contest this year, you ought to give out a couple awards, one of them for Al Butler and one of them for Carl Clark. Carl Clark was the first real costume person, him and his wife, at the pumpkin functions.
You know, that is an excellent idea, and Catherine, write that down for our Wednesday meeting, and I compliment you on that, Jerry. Thank you very, very much.
Well, they were two very great people that I miss greatly.
Yep.
And they sure did an awful lot to help your show out.
Oh, outstanding. And
I'll get out of the way. I'm getting teary-eyed.
All right, my friend. God bless you.
And then Lord bless your audience.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful day.
Thank you. You know, Catherine, what he said is really, really true. Two outstanding people in our community, Al Butler and Carl Clark. And I will never forget, Catherine, you didn't see this, but the time of the pumpkin function, or the pumpkin caper at that time, when Carl and his wife dressed up as pumpkins and walked in their green tights and the pumpkin contest, or the pumpkin costumes. I have never in my life been so taken aback, and on the radio there was nothing I could say, but you know, they were so supportive. I think that's a great idea, and we'll talk about that Wednesday at the meeting. Okay?
Absolutely. And we want you to come down and get your picture taken too. We can see about getting that those winners posted in the paper.
All right. Thanks to Jerry Voss for the call. We do appreciate it. Catherine over at the Senior Junction for the big pumpkin function on October 27th. Going to be fun.
Thank you, Zeb.
All right, take care. Thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
I love the attitude, and I love the ideas, and I love the personality and the gung-ho attitude. Man, Catherine Walcroft, the director of the Senior Junction, and I thank her very, very much. Let's see what we're doing here. Oh, don't forget our friends over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Oh, you need a dining room set? Oh, my goodness. Maybe you'd better stop in there today and check it out. You need maybe entertainment stands, or maybe how about a recliner? And let me tell you, that's where we got our recliners. They have got I don't know how many on the floor, but one after another, and you've got to go in and check them out, try them on. You got to try them on. I mean, whether you're short, whether you're tall, whether you're skinny or whatever, you better go in there and check out a recliner that fits you. They've got them all for you right there at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see these good folks today. We got time for a couple of calls right now at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you? I had this in my Cow Pies and Coffee Cups blog this last week. And, oh, by the way, if you want to subscribe and get that on, that's going to cost you anything. I mean, we're going to send it to you. Cow Pies and Coffee Cups, go to zebbell.com and then click on the information to receive the Cow Pies and Coffee Cups. Right now, we're going into, I think the latest count was, thanks to some people that are also resending it out of the Midwest and everything, we're going into about 24,000 households right now. It's a big blog. Anyway, Barack Obama's half-brother, Malik Obama, lives over in Kojello, Kenya. Listen to what he said. I will support Donald Trump. He said, I will not support Hillary Clinton. I don't like Hillary Clinton. She is dishonest and a liar. She keeps on lying about emails every time. He said, I love President Obama because he is my brother. But Obama is a hypocrite. He is not helping us at all. Obama has done nothing at all for us. He's done nothing for this family for the last 8 years. We have been waiting for his help in vain. That's from Barack's half-brother over in Kenya. He's supporting Donald Trump. And this was in the USA Today last week. I cut that out. And the column was written by Tony Anayulo and Helen Wagaluska. There's a couple of names for you. And it said that the president is not close with his father's side of the family. Could you imagine that? And they said, well, Malik says, I love President Obama because he is my brother. But he's a hypocrite. There you have it. Little family feud going on during the presidential elections. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. As you probably are aware, another story that really concerns me is something that Chuck Ross of the Daily Caller followed up on, and Daily Caller, very, very respectful and reputable news source, said that the Obama administration is absolutely pushing for citizenship applications for the election. And I noticed that Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley and Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson said, "We write to express serious concern about an apparent push by your Homeland Security Department to rush adjudication of naturalization applications before the upcoming presidential election, presumably in an attempt to create as many new citizens as possible." Guess which way they're going to vote. Yeah, with a big D hanging over their heads. Yeah. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The big debate is tonight. And it's got the American public taken by storm. I mean, really, they're projecting at least 100 million people will be tuning into the debate. I think it's going to be bigger than that. I really do. I think a lot of people that aren't involved in politics, don't care about politics, still are going to be tuning in to see the difference in personalities, and to see which candidate, quite frankly, is going to crack first. Now, it might be a facial expression. It might be the rolling of the eyes. It might be a word said thinking your mic is off, but they are not going to turn the mics off. They're going to leave hot mics for the entirety of the 90 minutes. It may be body language. It may be anything that could possibly sway this first debate. And it's going to be interesting to see which candidate can get under the skin of the other candidate first. And that, I think, is going to sway the debate one way or the other. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Life insurance, yes. Health insurance, yes. Retirement planning, employee benefits, yes, they can help you with all of this. They are very thoughtful and caring, and they probably have a better throat than I've got this morning. And all you have to do to make an appointment is call them at 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. You call the insurance professionals today. You know, if you're over there, yesterday, I got to tell you this. Yesterday we got home from church and I looked at my blushing bride and I said, it's too wet in the arena, can't work the horses out. And boy, it was wet. And I said, let's take a little trip up and see how the trails are going up into the hills. Ironically, they were very good. Very good. And, oh yeah, they'd had rain and everything, but they were pretty much about 85% dry. But anyhow, the fall scenery and the colors are starting to turn, and oh, the air was crisp. It was a beautiful day. Well, I thank Let's Ride for our four-wheelers that we got about 5 years ago over there. You stop in and see Nick and the crew because they've got all the 2016 four-wheelers and side-by-side on close-out prices. Yeah, buddy. And the new 17 models are coming in, and they've got all the accessories. They've got it all for you. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Mondays through Saturdays, 9 to 6. And don't forget, too, the service department. Oh, my, they can fix anything. You just be sure and give them a call at Let's Ride, where the fun is sold. Really, really good people. I think it's, we got about 2 minutes left. If you want to give us a call, please do so at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And we'd like to hear what your opinions are. Lunch Bunch will be Thursday. I've had people call me, email me, when's Lunch Bunch? Well, it's going to be this Thursday, the 29th. And that is, of course, going to start at 11:30 at Denny's Restaurant. And that's America's Diner at 611 Overland in Burley. So we hope you'll be there at 11:30 this Thursday. We're looking forward to having you there. A quick note, and I'm going to be getting in touch with these people. If they're listening, you can feel free to contact me. We had our bumper Snicker contest, and the two that won are Kent Pincock and, of all people, she won earlier with the cookies, Charlene Eklund. Both of those folks are going to be our bumper Snicker winners, and we are going to be calling them with their prizes and letting them know that they were excellent. We had one that was a bumper Snicker regarding Hillary Clinton, liar, liar, pantsuits on fire. That was from, I believe it was from actually Reed Jolly, and Kent Pincock sent it in to us. I want to get that right. And the second one by Charlene was a picture of Hillary and out of the Exodus of the Bible, thou shalt not bear false witness. I love that one. So anyway, there you go, the contest winners, and we'll be in touch with them on their prizes. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and we have with us a young man that's an attorney for the Alliance Defending Freedom, Samuel Green. Samuel, how are you this morning?
I'm doing very well, Zeb. Thanks for having me on the show.
Where are you anyway, Samuel? What part of the country are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from Scottsdale, Arizona, just outside of Phoenix.
Oh, my goodness. Is that where you live 24/7, 365?
Yes, it is, sir.
I love that country. We go down every year in February for about 3 weeks or so, and Arizona is one of my favorite states. We go down to Wickenburg. Are you familiar with that?
I am not. No, I'm fairly new to Arizona.
Oh, where are you from originally?
I am from California.
Ah, and what part of California, sir?
Lancaster. It's near Edwards Air Force Base in the high desert.
Yep, know it very well. Samuel, I got to ask you this, and I shoot from the hip on this program, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or not. It seems like we, the American public in this country, and especially business owners, private business owners, we don't have the right to say no anymore. We're being coerced and our arms are being twisted by the government. We have to accept anything and everything they say to us. What's going on here with a story in Colorado about an artist?
Yes, the story out of Colorado is about Lori Smith, the owner of 303 Creative. And Lori's story is really the story of every American's dream and right to live and work according to their core beliefs. Lori's a wife, a mom, and a business owner. She specializes in website and graphic design, and she currently owns this business, runs it, but she wants to expand her business to create beautiful wedding websites celebrating God's design for marriage as a lifelong union between one man and one woman.
Mm-hmm.
But Colorado state government is denying her this fundamental freedom.
Well, now, when you say that they're denying her that freedom, where did the government ever get the right to come into a business and say, you can't do that? I thought we were free as business people to pursue endeavors that we wanted to pursue. What's going on here?
Basically, Colorado is ignoring the First Amendment, and they're coming in and saying, if you're going to use your artistic talents to celebrate God's design for marriage, you also have to celebrate same-sex marriage, and you have no freedom of speech, no artistic freedom to conduct your business in accordance with your beliefs. But that's not what America's all about. You know, the First Amendment forbids the government from forcing creative professionals to promote messages or produce art or celebrate events against their will. And Colorado is ignoring that fundamental freedom.
Sam, did you ever in your lawyer's career expect that America would be at this point where the government is coming in like Gestapo and using tactics like that and saying, you can't do this because you've got to adhere to our philosophy, you've got to adhere to a philosophy that goes against your beliefs and your religion or else? Did you ever think we'd come to this point?
It really is quite shocking how fast we have fallen. I mean, a government that tells you what you can't say is bad enough, but a government that tells you what you must say and punishes you if you don't is downright frightening. And that kind of state power should scare all of us, no matter where we stand on the issue of same-sex marriage. That's why Lori Smith has filed this case against the state of Colorado, saying, wait a minute, you're ignoring my First Amendment right to live and work in accordance with my core beliefs.
I heard, and I don't know if it was over the bakery case or if it was over, I can't remember the story, but I heard that the government and their oversight on this issue entirely said, oh no, when you're in business, you have to serve all people, bar none. What happened to the sign on the door that says, we reserve the right to refuse service, no shirt, no shoes, no service? Is that gone out the window?
Well, there's a lot of state and local governments across the country that are taking the very troubling view that once you step into commerce, you abandon all of your First Amendment rights. But that's not what America's all about. The Constitution always stands to protect citizens and their right to live and work in accordance with their beliefs. And if we're going to be free to believe, we must have the freedom to express those beliefs and freedom to not express beliefs and ideas that we disagree with. And all that Lori Smith is doing is asking that she continue to enjoy those cherished freedoms even as she runs her business, which is a core American ideal, part of the entrepreneurial spirit.
What did the government or their representatives tell Lori that, look out, Lori, because if you don't abide by what we say, here's what's going to be thrown upon you? What did they tell her?
Well, Colorado's made clear to all of its creative professionals in the state that they must promote the government's messages or face prosecution. And one of the ways that they sent that message was through the way that they prosecuted Jack Phillips, the owner of Masterpiece Cake Shop, who's also represented by us here at Alliance Defending Freedom. And when a same-sex couple came into Jack's shop and asked him to use his artistic talents to create a artistic cake celebrating their same-sex wedding, when he politely declined because of his religious beliefs, he was happy to share them all, provide them all sorts of other baked goods, but the fact that he was unwilling to create an artistic message celebrating same-sex marriage, Colorado said, that's unacceptable, we're going to punish you. And they've just drug him through a very oppressive process, and right now Alliance Defending Freedom is asking the U.S. Supreme Court to hear his case. So the threat in Colorado has been made very clear by the Colorado state government that unless you're willing to toe the line, unless you're willing to express the government's messages as they are dictated to you by the government, you're going to be in trouble. And so instead of just going out and violating the law, Lori Smith has taken proactive steps to go in and file this lawsuit now before expanding into the wedding business, saying, I want to use the talents God has given me to celebrate marriage as God designed it. But I'm concerned right now because you're denying this First Amendment right. So she's going into court and she's asking the court to remind Colorado that there's a First Amendment right for all Americans to live and work in accordance with their beliefs and stop this type of government oppression and coercion from occurring.
Sam, how big a case is this? I mean, when you look at the scope of things on a win or a losing situation, how big a case is this? Not for you, the Alliance Defending Freedom, or the party involved, but how big a case will this be for the rest of the United States?
Well, it'll be a very big case. It's in federal court, and it'll have ramifications for people all across the country, very potentially. And you know, even if someone is not in the particular industry that Lori Smith is in, First Amendment rights travel together. And so if the government can come in and tell you what type of speech is acceptable and required and what type of speech you cannot say, that's a danger for all Americans, no matter where we are. and no matter what type of belief we're trying to express. Because even if you happen to be someone whose beliefs are still popular, your beliefs may be unpopular tomorrow. And if the state can pick and choose what beliefs are permitted and what beliefs are not, we should all be very concerned. A government is supposed to be freedom's greatest protector, not its greatest threat.
Sam, now let me ask you this, and it's speculation, but I think that we are due a little speculative type conversation on this case. On my radio program, I have spoken out many, many times and will continue to speak out about the LGBT, and they're trying to take over and destroy the moral fabric of our country. Do you see that also they might try to use their power and their full pockets to try to shut up broadcasters that are against them?
You know, we can never tell the future, but right now we're seeing a troubling trend across society where various interest groups are using political power to shut down certain speech that they disagree with, and they're using the government to do it. And again, you know, the government can't pick and choose what types of beliefs are permitted and what types of beliefs will be cast into the shadows, and people who hold those beliefs will be shut out of civil life. And so that's why Lori Smith's case is so important, because it's about the story and dream of every American to just live and work in accordance with their faith without fear of unjust punishment by the government. Whether you're a broadcaster, whether you're a creative, artistic designer like Lori Smith, whether you design cakes like Jack Phillips in Colorado, whether you're like Baronelle Stutzman, the florist grandmother in Washington, this is something that should concern all Americans.
You know, Sam, there was one little bitty phrase in one of the paragraphs of the story as I was reading this about Lori, and it really bothers me, and it's not the first time that it's happened, probably won't be the last, but there was oppressive mandates such as staff re-education training. Isn't that just kind of a governmental mind control type atmosphere?
It is a pretty good way to describe it, Zeb, because basically Colorado government has authority, if they determine that your views are unacceptable under their statute, to basically coerce you in any which way they want. And one of the ways they can do that is to force you to engage in staff re-education training, which kind of sounds like thought control. And they've actually done that in the case of our client, Jack Phillips. And Jack Phillips, he owns a family-run cake designing shop, and his mother works there, his daughter works there, so he's being told by the Colorado state government, hey, you need to go in and train your employees, including your mother and your daughter, how they ought to think in accordance with Colorado's ideology and orthodoxy.
You know,
so it's mind control, and it's also, once again, forcing Jack Phillips to speak in violation of his beliefs. It's very concerning. We can't have the government picking and choosing what messages we must say and what messages we cannot say.
I'm absolutely taken aback on this, Sam, because if somebody walked into my studio this morning and said, Mr. Bell, every Tuesday at 1 o'clock for the next month you will take a staff re-education training, I'll guarantee you that person probably wouldn't have to step outside the door. I would throw them through it. There is no way in the world that I believe in the United States of America, with our freedoms and our society, that anyone should be coerced into a mind-bending control with governmental fixtures.
And that's why Lori Smith is going to court, because she knows what awaits her if she goes and expresses the beliefs that she wishes to. She knows that Colorado will punish her. So she's going to court now, and she's saying, there's this document called the First Amendment. It gives me the right to speak as I choose and to exercise my religious beliefs as I choose. And the Colorado state government is denying those rights to me. Court, please provide me with relief, and provide relief for other Americans who just want this fundamental freedom to live and work in accordance with their religious beliefs. And that's why we should all hope that she prevails.
Sam, let me ask you this last thought here this morning. Elaborate on this a little bit. You and the Alliance Defending Freedom and others of your ilk must be really concerned about this presidential election, with the chances of renaming Supreme Court justices that would be extremely liberal. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, there's certainly no doubt that the judiciary plays a big role in American life today, and the Supreme Court has been given a tremendous amount of power, and it's quite concerning if you have justices who ignore the text of the Constitution and simply enact their own dictates, their own conceptions of what is right and wrong. And so there is a lot that hangs in the balance with the Supreme Court. There is no doubt about that. A lot of decisions as of late on fundamental freedoms have been 5-4 decisions. Back when Justice Scalia was on the court, for example, the Hobby Lobby case, where the Supreme Court gave or recognized the religious freedom of a company to not have to pay for abortion-causing drugs for its employees in violation of the company owner's beliefs. The Supreme Court recognized that freedom for them, but again, that was a very close decision. So, just one change in this composition of the Supreme Court could affect all of our rights in quite dramatic ways.
Sam, this story here about Lori and many others, is this a growing trend across America to the point where, boy, pretty quick you're going to have to get up on Monday morning and go to your office and say, which one do we defend first? Or is this kind of a testing the water situation?
These types of cases are really arising all across the country right now. There is an overwhelming number of state and local governments that are choosing to enact these laws to squelch freedom, and they call them non-discrimination laws. Basically, they're laws governing businesses, and they say, oh, well, you can't discriminate, which, may sound all in good, but then when you look deeper, when you pull back the scales, you see that what they're doing is basically saying you have to promote the messages that are in accordance with the government's beliefs, and you're forbidden to speak messages that oppose them. And that's very concerning, and so there are cases like this that Alliance Defending Freedom is involved in all across the country.
You did a great job, and you got to promise to come back in the future. The attorney for the Alliance Defending Freedom, Samuel Green, first time on my program, and I'll look forward to having you back. Thank you for all of your input on this story, Sam. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, Zeb. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Very nice young man, and one of the attorneys with the Alliance Defending Freedom, and we certainly appreciate their involvement every single week right here at 9:30. We appreciate it. Think about that. You go to church on Sunday morning, and you have your beliefs, you have your principles, and you have your ethics. And the government steps in and says, no, you will do it this way, or you will be fined, you will be put out of business if you want to fight us, and we demand that you go, along with your staff, to a re-education training program. Nothing more than mind control. Yours truly would not last 30 seconds in that meeting, and they would throw me out. I just can't handle this. We have lost so many things in this country. We have lost some vital things that we're going to have to really fight for and figure out how to get back. And freedom of speech is one of them. In our education systems, I told you some of the stupidity that's going on in our colleges right now with political correctness. Free speech zones. Who ever heard of something like free speech zones 25 years ago? I mean, you'd have been laughed out of Dodge City. You can speak anywhere you want to at any time and say what you want to. Oh, not in America today. This is obscene. Time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you by Pope Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin and Company CPAs. You know something? We started going to these folks. Leiden Crane is the man that we started to see. They're all very good. Curtis Pope, Todd Phillips, Rob Oaks, Mitch Goodwin, Heather Daly, Leiden Crane. And we wanted to talk to somebody that would talk back to us and tell us what's going on with our finances and our business and where we are with our tax preparation, etc. And they do. What more can I say? They're very, very good. And they've been serving the Mini-Cache area for well over 50 years. 2 offices, 1710 Overland in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. Yes, they are the best at what they do. Pope, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin and Company CPAs. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast as we kick off the final work week in September, and looks like Mother Nature is going to be shining on us through the rest of the week as we have this high-pressure system that will be sticking around, and sunny skies for today is what we're expecting. High of 74 with an overnight low of 44. Tomorrow, even better, sunny and 77. Sunny, close to 80 for Wednesday, overnight low of 52 as we move our way into Thursday. Partly cloudy skies, high of about 75, overnight low of 51. Friday, looks like partly cloudy and 71, so not too shabby for the final week in September. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. And on this program, I don't recommend anybody if I don't agree with their philosophy or don't think they do a good job. And I'll tell you what, they do a great job at Pope, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin and Company CPAs. You get a hold of them today with offices in Burley and Rupert, sponsoring our weather for this hour. Okay, now come on. Just go over to the phone, dial the number 436-2244, and talk to me. I love people that call me, and maybe you want to arbitrate with me. Maybe you want to agree with me. I don't care. Give me a call at 436-2244 or 1-866-927-4587. Give us a jingle on the landline. And we would love to visit with you, so come on, give us a jingle right now, please. We were talking a little bit about health care last hour. Health care costs are skyrocketing. And I'm going to urge you folks, over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be having my dear friend, Dr. Elena George, back on talking about Obamacare. I'm going to have other healthcare professionals on the radio that are impartial and not connected to any companies or anything like that. And we're going to discuss this healthcare deal because, quite frankly, those of us that are trying to meet our premiums, we're getting absolutely slapped in the face with exorbitant rate hikes. And at the same time, which really just boils my eggs, the illegal aliens and the refugees are getting health care on us. Yep, here, take it, we pay for it. At a time when we're all suffering trying to meet these obligations. And it came home to roost in my family with severely increased premiums that are really going to hurt the old pocketbook. And at the same time, I'm told, oh, well, we need to welcome in these refugees and illegals. Oh, yeah, they get free housing. They get free health care. They get free education. And a dip of the money out of our Social Security fund. Now you know why I'm so adamantly against what CSI and others are trying to do with their refugee program. I'm against it, and I think just like Texas with Governor Greg Abbott, he has told the Office of Refugee Resettlement that he would leave the program. Texas would leave the program unless they didn't start additional vetting of refugees, so we know a whole bunch more about these people. And the government better figure out how they're going to fund these programs without destroying the incomes of Americans that are trying to make a living and trying to retire. And yours truly is going to be doing a whole lot more. And those little nitwits that want to call me a hate monger and a bigot, go right ahead, please. It doesn't bother me at all. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm surprised more people haven't called in on this because it's a very oppressive story that's taking more money out of your pocket. Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service. I'll bet you old Scott Gano is smiling like a Cheshire cat this morning looking outside at these blue skies and sunshine saying, whoo, boy, we dodged the bullet. We thought last week was the end of the world with all that rain. Well, by golly, they can still Can I try that over again? It's prune and trim, not prune and whatever. But prune those trees that need trimming. They can still have time for that. And they can still get those new lawns in and the sod installed. And by the way, if you're still thinking about a new sprinkler system or revamping the old one, call them at 431-8733. Oh my goodness, you better hurry before the weather turns really cold. Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service, 336 South, 450 West of Paul, 431-8733. There you go. Once again, calls are welcome, and one just happened to slide right in. Good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, it's a crazy thing. Our Fish and Game Department came out with a few years ago that we can't feed the elk and the deer herds hay because they'll become dependent on it. How come we can't learn that with our people that are not willing to work, people that aren't going to work no matter what, and people that just want to be on the system? That if you feed them and you house them and you take care of their medical needs, they're going to become totally dependent on you.
Well, gee, Jerry.
It's strange that they can figure it out one way but not the other.
Yeah, it is kind of amazing to me that we're in such a gimme society and nobody has had the backbone, Republican or Democrat, to stand up and say, wait a minute, enough is enough. My constituents are suffering and I'm going to pay attention to them first and lead the charge. Jerry, right now I put all the blame on the political system because even Republicans, I think, are fearful of standing up and making waves.
Well, I think it's time we started looking at our country first and who we're going to bring in second.
Amen.
We need to keep this country safe. We need to keep it balanced, and we need to get back to a balanced budget.
Well,
it's just something that needs to be done.
Absolutely, but I'm not trying to be smart with you, Jerry, but boy, lots of luck on that last one. When we're $20 trillion in debt, and all these people want to do is just keep on spending, Jerry.
Yep, I understand that, and you just see more and more of it all the time.
Yep.
And for some reason, they got to pick on our Social Security fund, which most of us spent our whole life paying into it, to have a little bit for when we got to an age that we might have a little extra, and they've taken that away. It's a crying shame.
No, it's worse than...
The first guy that'd be hollering is a birthday boy today, and that would be Al Butler.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's his birthday.
Absolutely. Jerry, I appreciate...
I'm going to get off the air. You have a wonderful day, and I repeat my first prayer in life that you and your whole audience will be blessed by our Lord.
Oh, Jerry, you're a great guy. Really good friend. Take care of yourself, my friend. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You betcha. Bye-bye.
I tell you, I got some awfully nice people that call into this program and are a part of this program, and we really appreciate them. There is one of them, Jerry Boss. Thank you. Okay, here's the skivvy for next hour. If you believe in global warming... Now, wait a minute, my audience is too smart for that. But if you want to hear some of these hypocrites on the left and these people that are really not very smart, the liberals, about global warming and climate change, you don't want to miss at 10:06 Matt Briggs. He's really, really well informed. He's a former meteorologist and statistician. He knows his stuff. He's going to be on, and then John Zemerick will be on at 10:30. So we got a great hour next hour. Don't miss a minute of it. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. Oh, here we go. Hour number 3 on a Monday. It is such a pretty day outside. I mean, look at that blue sky and that sunshine. Good morning, I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. We're going to have a guest that I really enjoy having on my program. Matt Briggs will be on the air with us momentarily. I want to remind you, on Thursdays, we have a segment called Cassia County School Days, where we highlight what's going on in the schools. And And it's brought to you by A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. Oh, my goodness. They've got all the jeans for the kids and all the shirts and socks. I mean, holy cow, they got socks. They got socks all over the place. Stop over to A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. And also, the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. Number to call and find out more about outpatient surgeries, 677-8888. 677-8888. Whether it's colonoscopies or knee surgeries, hand surgeries, you be sure and give them a call. Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World, bringing you school days in Cassia County. Let's not waste any more time and get this man on the air. We got a lot of things to talk to him about, and he is Matt Briggs, former meteorologist and statistician. Good morning, Matt. How you doing?
Doing fine. How are you guys?
Well, if I was any better, the wrong fat man be wearing my clothes, Matt. Things are good. Hey, let me ask you, what does this mean in your intro that was sent to me? You are the statistician to the stars.
Brad Pitt never calculates a p-value without calling me first. All the best Hollywood people come to me when they want their statistics done.
Okay, so then why aren't you informing so-called Hollywood in general that climate change or global warming is nothing more than a method of controlling the American people and, for that matter, the populace of the world, and it doesn't exist?
I tell them all the time, but, you know, these are actors and actresses, and they don't retain the information for very long. That's the problem. Nor do most people. I mean, you could tell them over and over, endlessly, that we've had, for instance, this is the most important point I think I can make, and your audience should take away this, if nothing else. For the past, 20 or 30 years, we've had these models that have predicted the temperature for the next year. And for 20 or 30 years, these models have blown it. They have produced temperatures or predicted temperatures much warmer than we actually see. And they're getting worse. Every year they're predicting temperatures ever warmer. And all of these models, as bad as they are, they're all built on the theory, this global warming theory, that carbon dioxide is this terrible gas. But they can't make accurate predictions. And it used to be in science that if you had a theory that could not match reality, you threw out the theory. You modified it. You changed it. You did not announce to the world that the theory was right and reality is wrong, which is what we're doing with global warming.
You know, Matt, our local paper here, the Times News, and some of their editorial writers have chastised me and others. Why? What's the matter with you, you uneducated buffoon? How come you don't believe in climate change or global warming? You know something, Matt? I've read everything I can on this subject. I've talked to people like you that are very knowledgeable about global warming, and it even confirms my thoughts that this is nothing more than a means of controlling the populace and cutting back on our freedoms. What are your thoughts?
You're precisely right. All of these people who start screeching at you, I've had people who have no clue about the physics of a fluid on a rotating sphere, about cloud parameterizations, who couldn't define vorticity, scream at me that I am a denier. And they haven't the first idea of any science or anything like this, and they don't care. They've been told what to believe. And what people really believe, since they don't understand the science, particularly the media, the mainstream media anyway, and politicians, they don't believe in the science because they don't understand it, but they desperately believe in the solution to global warming. That's what drives them. They really want that solution. And what's the solution? Well, it's just what you said. Greater governmental control, larger bureaucracies, more taxes, more control over every aspect of not just our economy, but the economy of every country. They want to have top-level control of everything, and that's the motivating force behind most of this.
You know, Matt, I'm really simple cowboy type out here in southern Idaho, But when you look at global warming and you look at them saying, well, we've got to alter the temperatures. Why, my goodness sakes, it's getting too warm. Wait a minute. The warmer the temperature, the better the crop growth, the better, healthier conditions for civilization, regardless of where it is in the world. And it's not to the extreme, but we certainly don't want to start playing God and lower the thermostat and maybe start freezing some areas out to where they can't even grow their crops.
Yeah, warm temperatures are so bad that my parents every October, November head from Michigan down to Florida to get more of it. It's absolutely true. Cold kills. Warm is much better. The Earth has been, and maybe for 1,000 years, the temperature has been warmer than it is now. When mankind was tootling around, and we did much better. Crops grow better in the warmth. Crops grow better when there's more carbon dioxide. Crop output all over the world is up. And that's partly due to technological increases, scientific increases, but it's also due, in some ways, to carbon dioxide. And if you look at the graphs of carbon dioxide, for instance, and temperature back through time, you find something very interesting. Temperature first increases, and then carbon dioxide does, and that's because the temperature contributes to a more fertile and fecund planet, and therefore there's more carbon dioxide released to the atmosphere. So, the complete opposite of carbon dioxide being something that's harmful, it's actually of great benefit to us.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. The Paris Climate Meeting and Treaty. Give me your feelings and your synopsis of what you think it's going to do to affect us in the United States and around the world. What is that going to do?
That's an excellent question. It's an open question, too. I mean, it was supposed to be a treaty, but the Senate, of course, would not and will not endorse it or rather confirm it. So Obama instead called it an executive agreement, which is not a treaty at all, and which is therefore not binding on the United States. So we don't have any legally binding reporting to do to the UN or anything else. And so what's going to happen with this really depends on the election. If it's Hillary, of course, she'll embrace this because the portions of this treaty say we should give more authority to the UN, cede more of our sovereignty to the UN, and these kinds of things. And I think she's generally said she's for that. Trump, on the other hand, wouldn't. At least he said that he wouldn't. So what's really going to happen, nobody knows, because Obama only has a couple of months left, and there's nothing really he can do with this Paris thing before then. So it really hinges on who's going to win the election.
Okay, let's talk about that for a minute. Do you think, Matt, and this again is speculative, do you think that tonight either candidate will bring up climate change or / global warming, or in Hillary's case, will she leave it covered up in the briefcase?
People don't care. I mean, this is a small thing anymore. People are not thinking about global warming so much anymore because, for one thing, all the predictions over these many years have just failed. Every year they say the sky is falling. Every year the sky is in place. And the global warming seems to be a small part of what the Democrats really want. She might try to pull it out and say, well, you don't believe in science, because she famously said at her at her acceptance speech for at the primaries, she said, I believe in science, which is, of course, saying absolutely nothing. Nobody disputes that the climate changes. Trump doesn't dispute that the climate changes. So I don't think that there's much force there for her with this particular question. So maybe she tries to bring it up, but I don't see it has much bearing. I don't think most of the voters don't care. Most voters are interested in their jobs. They're interested in terrorism. What just happened out on the West Coast with this Turkish guy gunning people down in the Macy's? I mean, was this yet another terrorist act? I think these type of things are people are much more interested in what the temperature might be 50 years from now.
You know, and here's something that I think I'd really like your opinion and your remarks on. I go through and I collect these various newspaper stories from the Wall Street Journal and USA Today and other publications that I get. And here was a headline that was in the USA Today about a week ago in their economics section, and it said, quote, "More willing to pay to fight climate change, survey says." And then the sub-headline says, 57% would pay $1 more per month on electrical bills. That's idiocy and lunacy, and it's almost laughable to hear them say something like that.
This is called probably almost certainly the result of what they call a push-pull.
Yeah.
They would call people up and ask them, listen, the world is doomed. We're all going to die. And if I tell you we could save the world from a cataclysmic heat death by you contributing only $1 more on your electricity bill every month, would you be for that or against that? Well, you know, come on. A lot of people are going to say, sure, but that's not what's happening. What's really happening is they want to increase taxes dramatically.
Yes.
These type of polls, these engineered polls, they're only meant to push opinion, hence they're called push polls. So, and I actually have a piece on the effects of this in the presidential election today up at stream.org, looking at the history of presidential elections and trying to find out Trump's true support. So I know a little bit about something on this question too.
You know, Matt, one of the paragraphs that was sent to me in regards to having you on our program, and it really stimulated my interest, is that these so-called modern climate scientists, they can make these bold predictions for this year, next year, 10 years, etc. And then the point that you made on here was really good. Modern, even local weathermen will only give a small little 3-degree guarantee for tomorrow's temperature. So really, how come one group is so smart and the other group is so stupid?
Yeah. This is another one of these preposterous things. I've already told you, the models are terrible failures. I don't mean just, I'm not trying to exaggerate it. This is not hyperbole. These models really are lousy. They do a rotten job, and I mean rotten, of predicting the temperature. And yet these people are claiming that for 50 years hence, 100 years hence, they can predict what the temperature is going to be to 1/10 of a degree. It's hubris. It's scientific hubris. Yes, the models do say this. The models that they use do make these predictions. And the theories upon which these models are built are very complex things. They take great intellects, a lot of brains, a lot of brain power, and manpower to build these things. And people are sort of rightly proud of them. But the problem is they fall in love with these models. They're unable to see their flaws. Particularly since their careers are tied up with them, and they're very unwilling to say, you know what, we were wrong. And that's what's needed here.
You know, Matt, let me ask you this part of it. Another story that came out on Monday, September 19th in the USA Today, and I'm sure you probably read this story, but it was written by Greg Zoroya of USA Today, and he said with his headline, "Oh my goodness, tough love is needed on climate change now." And the last paragraph, I want to read to you and get your response. He said, quote, "We need to be upfront with our children. Such a world would not be unlike the dystopian worlds depicted by the Hollywood movies like Soylent Green or The Hunger Games. Fortunately, such a future is still avoidable. The challenge is to act now." Whew, I'm scared, aren't you?
Yeah, this is a guy who needs to get outside and spend a little less time in front of the television. If he's getting his science from Hollywood, there's the problem right there. They have nothing to offer us. He should be talking to real scientists and not from other environmental activists and politicians and everybody else who are quite happy to stoke his fear. It's absolutely ridiculous, the things that he's claiming. It's not true. I mean, we've had 40, 50 years of these types of failed environmental predictions. In the 60s and 70s, they said we were going to have global cooling because at that time the planet was getting a little cooler. And they said, well, the reason has to be because because we're going to have so many more people, and these people are creating pollution by what? By burning fossil fuels. It was going to knock the sun's rays back into space and plunge us into another ice age. And this was the consensus science at the time by the top minds of that day, and that didn't happen. And the temperatures gradually warmed as they did through the 80s up into roughly 1998 or so, as they sometimes do on the planet. And they said, oh my God, look at the temperature increasing. This must be also caused by fossil fuels, by burning fossil fuels. And then since, roughly 1998, like I say, until now, the temperatures has, it's gone up some years and gone down others, but it's been relatively flat. And to explain this, they say, denier! They don't have an explanation for this. There is no explanation. It doesn't fit. Reality does not fit with their theories. And so they have nothing to say except scream at people.
We have in southern Idaho, Matt, a huge dairy industry and a really large number of dairy cattle. We also have ranchers. We have horse operations. We've got a lot of animals right here in southern Idaho in the Magic Valley. And when I read a story last week about environmentalists really coming down on the state of California and Governor Jerry Brown signing a anti-methane bill, basically, and it all reverts back to cow farts because methane is bad for the environment and global warming. I mean, have we come to this laughable situation?
We have. It's ridiculous. Not only that, listen, the real impetus behind this is not just control, but they don't like people. Everybody in the elite structure want to have fewer people. And all of these environmental scares, all along, they claim the real base problem is not fossil fuels, but people using fossil fuels. There's too many people. We can't produce enough food, they say, and which, of course, is wrong because, as I say, crop output is up year upon year upon year. So what they really want is fewer people. And so they say, well, you can't eat so much meat, so let's remove some of this food supply. And you won't believe this, but there are actual academics. This is true now. There's a guy at New York University. He has a published paper, peer-reviewed, all this kind of stuff. He says, the best way to combat global warming is to remove people's taste for meat. So how could we do that? Well, we could poison it. We could poison it so that people develop an abhorrence of red meat. So all we have to do is for the government to come in. This is not science fiction. This is what these academics are really proposing. And poison the red meat so that people don't want to buy it, and therefore the number of cows that we raise will go down, and therefore so will the cow farts and the methane and all this kind of thing. So you can't make this stuff up. These people have become crazed. They will not let reality intrude into their world because reality is, as you know, very unfriendly.
Matt, last thought on this, but every day when we pick up a paper, like I said, whether it's the Salt Lake Tribune or whether it's USA Today, whatever paper, there always is an anti-human, more control through climate change. Why aren't we on this side of the fence? Why aren't we doing more to force the media to carry stories of the truth? Or is it impossible to get them in there?
I think it's the latter. I mean, we're doing it right now. We're trying to do something, but they won't listen. They don't listen. They can't listen. Their ears are completely stopped up. There's nothing I think we could do to change the minds of the mainstream media except to change the subject. And right now, the debate and the presidential election is going to do this. And I think my prediction is that Trump is going to win. I predicted this back in January, and I think that is the only thing that will get their minds off of this and onto something else.
Matt, I'll tell you what, you're first class. I've got to have you back. Former meteorologist and statistician Matt Briggs, God bless you, man. You're straightforward, and you're always welcome on this program. Thank you very much.
God bless you, too. Thanks for having me.
All right, sir. Thank you. Did you hear what he said? I mean, this is a guy I've had on my program before, and he is outstanding with his knowledge about so-called climate change. And I'm going to have him back much more often. Don't believe the garbage that the liberal left is putting out, even right here locally in this Times News newspaper. Anyhow, we've got to get these words in, and then we'll have a quick break over at our studio. Don't forget, of course, our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric. They can offer rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace or an air conditioner or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Yes, sirree, Bobby. Call 678-0459 and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox can save you money. You know, we're very fortunate. This lady's a nice lady. And I'm talking about Elizabeth Coyle at La Vintage Boutique at 1240 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Now, they're open Tuesdays through Friday, 10:30 to 5:30, Saturdays 11 to 4. And it's becoming apparently clear to a lot of people that, holy cow, it's just a matter of weeks, and then all of a sudden the holidays are going to be upon us. Well, they've got a lot of great gift-giving ideas over at La Vintage Boutique. I mean, all kinds of really unique wall hangings and homemade crafts and items, antiques, home decor items, furniture. You'd better stop in, and Elizabeth says, just browse. That's right, just enjoy. Great store. La Vintage Boutique at 1240 Oakley Avenue in Burley. A quick reminder that the Senior Junction Pumpkin Function is going to have a frightfully wonderful breakfast and entire day, October 27th. It's going to be amazing fun in celebration of Halloween and the Pumpkin Function over there. Costume contest, and I'm going to be doing a remote broadcast over there for the 3 hours of this program, and a really good, ghoulishly delicious breakfast. And they've got crepe candy for sale. This is fantastic fun, too. T-shirts only $15, and you stay tuned. And by the way, all the proceeds are going to the Meals on Wheels. So we're really trying to help our seniors out. We're going to take a little break and be back with John Zemerick coming up next half hour. Zeb at the Ranch, don't go away.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll have our guest on in just a moment. But first of all, I want to remind everybody about Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more at 459 Overland in Burley. Oh, my goodness, they've got those sleep trackers. You know what that is? You know, it's that button you can click if your spouse is sitting there or laying there in the bed going snoring like a steam engine. Holy smokes, I'll tell you what, you can push the button and raise or elevate them up a little bit so you can get a good night's sleep. Check out all the bedroom sets, all the mattresses, all the entertainment centers, dining room sets. I'm telling you what, all the recliners, they've got it all for you. At Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, 459 Overland in Burley. Right now, we're going to go to a gentleman that has been on this program many times in the past, and hopefully in the future also. And he is a writer for The Stream, the senior editor, John Zemerick. Good morning, John. How are you?
Good, Zeb. Thank you. I'm excited. I have a new book coming out today, too.
Oh, well, tell us the name and give us a little background on the book, first and foremost.
Sure. It's called The Politically Incorrect Guide to Catholicism, and it draws on a lot of the material that I wrote at stream.org on the attempts by a lot of Catholic leaders, politicians, some bishops, and sometimes it seems like Pope Francis, to impart a political agenda to the timeless teachings of the Christian Church and its Catholic form. And on a lot of issues, from immigration to war and peace, the death penalty, gun control, free market economics, socialist welfare programs. In a lot of cases, you see Catholics, maybe some of whom their supernatural faith is not as strong as it used to be. So what they try to do is make up for it by becoming social justice warriors, by turning Catholicism into a kind of chapel for the Democratic Party. And so I go through all the critical issues on which people try to portray Catholicism as in line with the left, except maybe on abortion, when in fact the modern left, as we know it in America, is profoundly incompatible with Christianity in any form and with Catholicism in particular.
All right. Well, I wish
That's available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble and all the usual places.
I wish you good luck with your new book. And now, John, I tell you what, you brought a very thought-stimulating idea to the forefront when you said that, is it a coincidence that Charlotte, North Carolina, now in flames, was pushing earlier this year for a transgender access law for public bathrooms? Do you think all this mess in Charlotte, which, by the way, is a very beautiful city with nice people, this mess is all kind of a coordinated effort?
I think it's all part of, well, in the sense that the new left back in the 60s was trying to destroy the bourgeois family, trying to destroy the traditional family and religion, using sex, drugs, and rock and roll as an anthem of liberation, and attacking the whole idea that sex is for marriage, that marriage is for children, that children deserve a mother and a father, that the law should look out for children's interests first instead of the hedonistic whims of adults. So the whole thrust of the left since around 1962 or 64 has been to blow up all the old ideas of personal responsibility, chastity, honor, faithfulness, and just reduce people to hedonistic robots that also could be taxed to take care of the poor. So I see the chaos in the streets of Charlotte as the result of the same sexual revolution that gave us the transgender bathroom law. And here's how it works. By blowing up the idea that sex is for marriage, by blowing up the idea that parents are supposed to support their own children instead of living on the government their entire lives, by blowing up the idea that men and women are different and have different needs, or that women with children deserve a man in their lives, and we need to train young women to hold out for that, or else they'll end up, kind of hopeless, dependent on the government. Where did these waves of angry young poor people? Notice I'm not saying black because it's not about race. There are plenty of poor whites on welfare whose kids turn out just about as badly, especially the boys, as anyone in the inner city. Young men need fathers. Encouraging young women to have children who won't have fathers produces young, angry, dangerous men who have not been taught to defer to authority, who don't know how to deal with it when their desires are frustrated, who, when they're stopped by a police officer who's trying to do his job and keep you and me safe, and keep those poor people safe, by the way, because they're most of the victims of crime. When a young man who hasn't been trained by a father to deal with discipline and authority is stopped by an authority figure, he often lashes out. Now, some of these police shootings are no doubt unjustified, and those policemen should lose their jobs and go to jail. But the situation that is so hot button, it's so on edge, those cops who are in danger of their lives day after day, they know they're dealing with uncontrolled, youthful male anger, which is one of the most dangerous things in the world. The Islamist terrorists in the Middle East are young men with uncontrolled male anger. And the sexual revolution has produced these hordes of young men who have not been trained to be real men. They have not been trained to discipline themselves, haven't had the example of hard work, self-restraint, self-sacrifice, all the things that a good father brings to a family. And the fact that something like 75% of African Americans are now born out of wedlock, that is just a recipe for total disaster. That is a tragedy. And as recently as the 1950s, the black family was just as strong as the white family. What happened? The sexual revolution and the expansion of the welfare state. The sexual revolution was invented by spoiled, upper-class, hedonistic white college students, but that poison trickled down and is destroying poor people of every race across the country. And the anger we see in places like Charlotte it's a result of conflict between young men who are out of control and police who are scared. And that's no recipe for an orderly society. It's no recipe for justice or for racial healing or unity, which is So something we desperately need in America.
You know, John, that was an excellent dissertation about what's going on. Let me throw a couple of things into the fray for you to discuss. Number one, I believe that we have got so far away from the family, like you stated a moment ago, and we've got so far away from the, if you will allow me, the image of a family going to church on Sunday morning on the cover of the Saturday Evening Post. We've got so far away from the basics that have made us a great country, and we, the United States of America, and the government have told these people, oh, well, we're here to help with the Jesse Jacksons and the Al Sharptons. Instead, we should be telling these people to pull themselves up by their own bootstraps, assume their own responsibility, and build up their race and their community by themselves. Am I wrong?
No, you're right, and there are things the government can do, but they're not the things that liberals do. What the government could stop importing 1 million unskilled workers every year to compete with young native-born black or Latino men for the same jobs, and running down their wages and locking them out of the, that crucial first rung on the ladder. We don't need a million unskilled laborers every year coming into the country. What are teenage boys from the ghetto supposed to do when some very obedient, grateful recent immigrant is willing to take the job that they otherwise would get? There are things the government could do, but it's not welfare programs. It's not multiculturalism. It's not diversity training.
John,
things that will unleash entrepreneurship, things that will encourage business, encourage law and order in the inner city. Welfare reform was a huge step forward. It diminished the rate of teenage pregnancy because young women realized this is not necessarily a ticket out to a free apartment on the government and a check every month so I can sit home with my baby, which is something, a lot of young women would like to do. It's an instinct. But it's not an instinct that should be indulged if there's no young man in the picture who's willing to, get up every day and go to Home Depot and work.
You mentioned in this small little caricature of what we were going to talk about this morning that civil society is fragile. And when I read that, I thought, oh, how true. And we're looking at Charlotte, North Carolina. We're looking at what happened in Ferguson. We could look at this in other areas. Anywhere the left wants to push the panic button, they seem to be in control. And no sacred city is left on the face of the United States. It can happen anywhere, can it not?
It can happen anywhere you have a lot of young men born out of wedlock. Young men born out of wedlock is like a garage full of gasoline-soaked rags, and all you need to do is light a spark. So if we want to have safe cities, then we need to have strong families, and strong churches play a big role in that. And yet you see Hillary Clinton and the Democrats want to restrict the religious liberty of Christians and everyone else. They're talking about taking away the tax exemptions of churches that won't do same-sex marriages. They're talking about getting rid of the First Amendment free exercise of religion and replacing with this narrow freedom of worship, which means you're free 1 hour a week to gather in a church and say whatever you want, but you better not bring it outside the doors of the church, or else you're going to be subject to hate crimes prosecutions, as has happened in Australia and in Canada. We're not talking North Korea or Mongolia. We're talking Anglo-American countries that follow the same legal tradition we do, that have roughly similar constitutions. Religious freedom is being eaten away by political correctness in the service of the left. And yet, by destroying the churches, they're taking away one of the only things that can impart order, self-discipline, and ultimately healthy behavior among the poorest of the poor.
How do you instill a pride in people of their community and of their homes and of their surroundings and their family? That's the one thing, John, that I think has gone in this country is pride. A father beaming with pride over his son's graduation or his son's job, or a mother looking at her daughter that goes off to college and gets a great job and then later gets married and has a great family. What happened to the American pride?
Well, that's a kind of long-term pride, right? That's a long-term project. Raising a child well That's an 18 to 25-year commitment. That's the kind of pride we need to encourage people to develop. But what instead we have is a kind of brittle, shallow, adolescent pride, like, I'm not going to let that cop talk to me that way. Who does he think he is? That kind of animal, really juvenile pride. We're all capable of it. The kind of pride you have after 5 or 6 beers when you're feeling tough. That is very dangerous for society. If that's all the only kind of pride people are capable of. But that long-term pride, the pride you take in a long-term project, in a successful marriage that's weathered storms, in having followed your faith through your life, on building a business or building a career, these are the things that develop as a result of strong families, a free market economy, and an ethic of responsibility for yourself. And the left has been undermining these things savagely since the early 1960s. If Hillary Clinton wins, we're going to see the Supreme Court imposing this new, corrupt, post-pagan ethic on every institution in America.
You know, John, let me ask you this question. In the phraseology that was used on this cheat sheet this morning, we may be on the outer edges of a national race war. And it's interesting that you had this on here because the other night watching what was going on with the riots in Charlotte, my wife and I looked at each other and we both are older and said, holy smokes, this is being almost worse than Selma, Alabama. And a race war could be imminent in this country. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, you know, it's ironic. The term race riots, right up until the early 1960s, referred to white people attacking unarmed black people. This is not just a black phenomenon. White people used to act like this, too, not all that long ago. The tendency to look to your tribe, to your skin color, as your source of identity and pride, that's a very dangerous temptation. It's a universal temptation. You see it in the Middle East. We saw it in Yugoslavia, where my family comes from. And it's the end of civil society. It's the end. If you want your country to look like Syria, be proud of your skin. Be proud of being white. Be proud of being black for its own sake. If you want a country that looks like Syria does today, we can't live that way. We need to be able to look at the next person in the bench in church, and they're black, they're white, they're Asian, but we are bound by something much more important than the amount of melanin in your skin. You're bound by faith in something higher. You're bound by ethics of generosity, of charity, of caring for the poor. These things are complicated. These things take building. It doesn't take any effort or any intellectual or spiritual energy to just look, hey, he looks like me, I'm on his side. That's the most primitive form of behavior, and whites have been very much guilty of it. We were guilty of it for hundreds of years in America. But we needed to get over it, and the poor black people who are being exploited by radical activists need not to fall for that siren song. It leads nowhere but destruction.
John, one last thought. The education system in America today, all the way from the kindergartens clear through the supposed higher learning institutions. How are we going to change and transitionalize the thought back to people getting an education to be something and be somebody instead of going to school to be paid activists?
Well, I think we need to get rid of the public school monopoly. Parents should be able to direct their money to private or even homeschools if they wish to. Donald Trump had a pretty good proposal for that he came out with. I'm a little concerned that vouchers, if they came straight from the federal government and went to the schools, might give the federal government the right to interfere with what those schools teach. So I would like to see tax credits or tax rebates, something like the Earned Income Tax Credit, so that poor families who don't want to use their worthless, dangerous, teachers union-dominated inner-city public school can use a church school or get a homeschooling program, and they'll get a check from the government which they can use as they see fit to advance their child's education. We need to break the public school monopoly. And think of it this way. We have public schools to make sure poor children get educated. Do we have government cafeterias every couple of miles to make sure poor people get fed? No. If people are really in need, we give them financial assistance, and we let them choose the food and cook the food for their own family. I think the same thing should be true of education.
John, I wish I had more time. You're always welcome on this program. John Zmirak, the senior editor of The Stream, thank you so much. Please come back soon, and good luck with that new book, and give us the title and the location where it's sold.
Politically Incorrect Guide to Catholicism. It's at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, all those great places.
All right, John, thank you very much. Appreciate it. John Zmirak on our program this morning, and talking about Charlotte and other ills that are going on in this country, and I appreciate him being on the program this morning. We have a big bad dog that has just showed up on our property, and we certainly hope it's not chewing on any of our livestock, and yours truly is going to be going out in just a few moments to greet him. Anyhow, don't forget the weather forecast coming up next, and the weather's brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. Changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Yes, they are your locally owned custom meat processor for over 20 years. Scarrows Meats in Jerome. Changing the way we eat, a delicious bite at a time. Here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast as we kick off the final work week in September, and looks like Mother Nature is going to be shining on us through the rest of the week as we have this high-pressure system that will be sticking around, and sunny skies for today is what we're expecting. High of 74 with an overnight low of 44. Tomorrow, even better, sunny and 77. Sunny, close to 80 for Wednesday, overnight low of 52 as we move our way into Thursday. Partly cloudy skies, high of about 75, overnight low of 51. Friday, looks like partly cloudy and 71, so not too shabby for the final week in September. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Gina, thank you. And the weather brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. Changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Woo! Wow, we've got let me take a look here real quick. We want to welcome more phone calls. I've got time real quick. Give me a jingle on the landline at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We are going to have some really interesting people on the program tomorrow. I've got an economist by the name of Bill Tatro that's going to be on at 9:06 tomorrow morning. And then I've got another lawyer with the Pacific Legal Foundation going to be talking about another EPA story that'll just absolutely, you want to take your fist and beat it into the table. Dr. History is going to be here tomorrow morning at 10:06, and more of your phone calls. Those are just a few of the people that are scheduled for tomorrow morning's program. Now, I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, and we are in the process of trying to book Dinesh D'Souza, Hillary's America producer, that film, and we are hopefully going to get that done in the next couple of weeks. There's been changes, and this man's schedule has been so busy going to all the networks and going to all the interviews, etc. And we're trying to get it fit in, and with my schedule on the air in the mornings and his schedule. And so as soon as we get that accomplished, and we've been in touch with the powers that be, I will let you know so you can set that up on your calendar and not miss that interview. A very interesting man, great filmmaker, and tells it like it is, Dinesh D'Souza, and we're going to have that on the air, I hope, maybe even, hopefully, this week if I have to juggle things around a little bit. We're trying. Okay, let me see. I got time for some calls, and I want to remind you again that Jerry Voss sent me a notice, and here it is, that the Civil Air Patrol Squadron is going to have an open house. And what it is, the Joe Engel Composite Squadron, local unit of the Civil Air Patrol, is hosting an open house at 6:30 p.m. on this Thursday, the 29th, and it's going to be at the Squadron building located at the Burley J.R. Jack Simplot Airport, and members of the squadron will be present to greet visitors and explain CAP's missions for America. So everybody try to be there. Should be very interesting and fun, too. Don't forget to our friends at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best of a fall tire sale going on right now. Got a passenger car that needs new tires? Well, listen to this. They've got the Eclipse tire, all-season design, 70,000-mile warranty, and it's on sale starting at just $61.74. I'm not kidding. $61.74. You better check it out. And don't forget to the best in brake service. They know brakes. They can help you and make sure that when you hit the brake pedal, you're going to stop. That's the main idea behind having good brakes. Well, I'll tell you what, professionally trained technicians and the brake industry's best warranty. You stop in and see any one of the 7 locations today. And, of course, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, it's all there. With Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Yes, sirree, Bubby. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. A quick reminder, those Senior Junction Pumpkin Function T-shirts are on sale over at the Senior Junction at 2421 Overland and Burley. They're going to have on October 27th a frightfully wonderful big Halloween day with costume contests, a great breakfast, all kinds of fun. Don't miss it, with the net proceeds going to the Meals on Wheels. I'm really asking you to get out and support this function on the 27th of October. That is going to wrap it. You know what, Wheels? Did you have a good weekend over there?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I won't, I'll admit, with all the rain and everything, it was nice to see it kind of calm down yesterday, and to my surprise, it was pretty warm. Yeah, it was a beautiful day. We went up in the mountains yesterday on our 4-wheelers and enjoyed the crisp, cool fall air. And, boy, I tell you what, one of these days we'll have to take you with us if possible. I think you'd really enjoy it. That sounds like a deal to me. I actually, last night when I went out and everything, I'm like, oh, man. And so, of course, at 6 o'clock at night, it's still, quite nice, but I'm like, I need to get the car washed, so I went down to the car station. All right, Wheels. Well, now listen, you're doing a great job, had a great program today, and we're going to remind everybody we're going to be back here at 8:06 tomorrow morning with more Zeb at the Ranch. Old Wheels, my engineer over at the main studios, and on K-Bar 12:30 a.m., and then streaming live all over the universe on ZebBell.com. God bless you and your family, and remember, the way things were are the way things ought to be. See you in the morning at 8:06.